like glowing. If you're getting them, I'm getting them. Hi, hello, and welcome to the Bookish Life.
I'm Jess.
And I'm Tori, and in today's episode, we are chatting tips and tricks for being self-employed. Is that what you said? I can't remember.
More so like, I wouldn't say tricks, but like recommendations and like how we have navigated being self-employed and working in the author space.
I mean, I don't know how many tips I'll have, but we go ahead. You start. How about you start?
I prepared. I have a list. So I figured it would be hard to like continue talking if we didn't have a list like that. So we both have been self-employed for like a year. And I think that, I don't know how I want to like start this, but you kind of just have to like jump in. You're never going to be like fully prepared to work for yourself. And if you like wait to be ready, you're never going to do it. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Do you agree?
Yeah. I mean, either you like are forced to do it or you just do it. You just say fuck it and jump right in and be like, let's try it. And you can do it while you have a full-time job to see if it's like feasible. You just have to work more, or you're just like forced into it and be like, let's see if I can do this. Let's go, you know?
Yeah. And I mean, like I prepared much more than other people might possibly like have the ability to, since I was a teacher and I knew in February I was going to quit my job, but I got paid through August. So like I had like 3 months where I was still getting a full-time salary while jumping into this career. But like it's going to be scary. Like obviously it's like the unknown. You're relying on yourself for work, which I mean like is still stressful because there's a lot of self-doubt and like imposter syndrome in this kind of career. But I just feel like a lot of people really want to work for themselves and like maybe like start their own business or like jump into author services, but never know like when. And I don't know if there's ever like a right time, and you could just find yourself kind of like pushing it off and never doing it if you don't just like jump in and do it.
No, I think that's like a good, like literally just jumping into it. And it's just, I'm someone who like I hate change, so either I have to be forced into it, like literally forced into it, or like someone has to like drag me through it. And this one I was just kind of like not forced, but like I just was like, now's the time, I have to do it. Like it's now or never type of a thing. And I don't regret it in the slightest, but like it's been almost 2 years that I've been working for myself. Like March will be 2 years, and I still have self-doubt. Like, can I make this a career? Is this feasible? Like, can I do this for 10 plus years? Like, is it possible? Like, I obviously want to grow it. And you struggle with like trying to be innovative, and you try to do different things. Like, you know, like PA services or being an author assistant, you offer very generic things, newsletter swaps, like newsletter creation, content creation, you know, like there's a lot of the same things, but it's like your creative is different from person to person and like what you offer. So like obviously you're like, am I gonna be just as good as this person, or like can I get up to those standards? Like, can I do this, can I do that? Like there's a lot of self-doubt when you look around. But I have to remind myself that there are a million romance authors, specifically because we work with romance authors, is that there's a million romance authors and they all need different things, and like there's a place for you somewhere in that community at somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, like, I think it's super exciting seeing so many of our friends killing it too, because like we were really the first of our friends to jump into this space, and we've had a few other ones be interested. And similar to like our experience, where it was like either they were kind of like pushed into it, or they were like, oh, now is the time, like I really want to do this. And they're killing it. Like they are working for exciting authors that they love, and like it was, I would say, I don't know if, sorry, Lily is in a really loving mood right now. She's licking me. I forget what I was going to say. I know like it's definitely like scary putting yourself out there, and it might take a little bit to be able to like find those people who are willing to hire you, but like you will find those people. You know? Yeah. Oh, Missy, I was going to say, I just heard something.
Oh my gosh, she almost knocked over my light.
Is he letting her in there for the whole time? I don't think that'll go well.
I would never. She does sit on the futon that I have sitting next to me. If I'm editing, she'll come up and sit on the blanket. Okay. So she's learned to do that. She'll sniff around and then she'll sit down. But she's still a little crazy. Yeah. What were you saying? Sorry.
That, well, like you said, like there's usually always someone looking for something. So it might not happen right away because we've had friends who like it took them like a couple weeks, a couple months to like really find their place. But I feel like a lot of people really settle, and it might not be the first person you work for. Like you might have to test a few things out. Like maybe they only want one thing and then you're like kind of done with that client. But usually I think everybody we know has really settled into a really great place. And I will say,
yes, and I will say the people who took like months to do it is because like they were struggling with the self-doubt or like putting yourself out there and like marketing yourself, which one is hard to do anyway. Like that's, I still struggle with that. Like terrifies me, right? But I'm like slowly but surely like trying to get out, like do that for me, like just to put my name out there to like, because I don't think I've ever like publicly said like made a post or something like that. It's like, I'm an author assistant, this is what I offer. I've never done that because it makes me like really nervous. But a lot of our friends have done that where they're like, okay, like now's the time, let me jump in. And when they jump in, it's relatively quick that they start working for an author, multiple authors or stuff like that. But I will say a lot of people, they're like, you know, like a lot of the one question we get is like, how do you reach out? Like, how do you like first reach out? And one thing I realized that I never actually said before, but I realized with our friends is like, I can help you and, you know, give you tips and tricks and like specific to you or whatever, like our friends that have come to us, and I'll be like, oh, do this, or, oh, you're stuck with this, try this, like doing that, you know, whatever. But they've always come to me with like an established, I want to reach out to X, Y, and Z author. I've had a relationship with X, Y, and Z author, and I can be like, oh, okay, I can tell you how to navigate that. Like, what's the best way? Like professionally, how to go about it rather than just sliding in their DMs, right? So I will say, if you were someone who wanting to get into being an author assistant, like the first thing to do is have an established relationship. Do not slide into their DMs expecting to like talk to them and then automatically turn into, hey, I'm an author assistant, I can help you. Don't do that. Like it's already a connection that you've had with these authors. You've talked to them previously. You've read them. And sometimes, not always, it doesn't have to be like that. It's word of mouth or, oh, this person, you know, I know this author that looking for someone, I can send your contact information and they may reach out, and that's totally fine. That's like great too. But like if you're really wanting to like push, I will say I noticed that I was like, okay, come to me with like, if you have questions, come to me with like a little bit of a plan to start, and I can definitely help. Because like starting from scratch, I'm like, I don't know. I don't have tips or tricks for that. Maybe you do, but I don't. I
mean, I definitely agree that like a lot of it is based off of, and even like the smallest kind of connection you can have with someone is like you've read their books. Like that is like the smallest step you can take to reaching out to an author and want to work for them. Because we do have friends who are getting to work with some of their favorite authors because like they've interacted with them before, and so like they might post to their stories like, I am like offering services now and I have room, and then their favorite authors are like, hey, like I at least know you know me, like let's see what can happen. And like that's also one of my tips, is that you really, like, this job is not easy, and if I was not working for authors that I love, it would be very, like, a lot harder if I wasn't working on things that I already love, you know, or like genres that I don't love, or like trying to like put so much time and effort into helping someone's career if I didn't personally care about their career. You should genuinely enjoy their content to do a good job working for them.
I mean, there's a space for everyone because there's so many authors. So even if you have to do some research, I think that's like fair.
I have... I mean, kind of what we've already touched on a little bit is that, like, you may have an idea of what you want to offer in whatever you're starting, but, like, make sure that you're always looking ahead and, like, how can I grow? How can I, like, help people even more? How can I grow my services and, like, what I can get better at? Because I feel like even in the beginning, like, I never thought about, like, even something as simple as, like, making graphics for authors, and now that's, like, a big part of what both of us do, and, like, more strategic, like, marketing and, like, planning, and that comes with learning and experience. So that's definitely something, like, you need to learn to, like, attempt to learn. Like, find out ways that you can get better at it. Always be aware of, like, what's trending, what's on social media, and you have to take the time yourself to do that. And that's not necessarily, like, paid time. You have to put in that extra work to better yourself and your knowledge in what you're working on.
One thing that I wanted to start doing that after, you know, like a year and a half, like making graphics is a huge part. I want to find like online courses for like Photoshop, because I want to learn it, but it's like so intimidating of how to, like, where to start. Like, I don't know. I don't know where to start, like Procreate, Photoshop, stuff like that. So it's definitely something I want to like look into later this year. Like around Christmas time, we do have a little bit of downtime just because like things slow down, people take breaks, like Christmas time, New Year's, stuff like that. So in that time, I would love to take like a course and like really put my time and effort into that, just so I can like grow myself, because I feel like I'm not adequate enough to like just jump into that program. Some people might, and that's great and fantastic, but that's just like an example for me. Yeah, like just for me personally, that's something that I would love to do. But if it's like book formatting, I'd have to take a course on that and learn it myself, just because like, or have someone teach me. But then again, that takes time like outside of paid stuff. So yeah, it's just like interesting of like how much I thought I would, like, you can obviously transfer some of like, if you're like an admin assistant, or like I was a paralegal, a lot of that stuff can be transferred to like being an author assistant. But there's some stuff that's like more creative where I feel like I'm creative, but I'm not like the most creative, that I do want to grow that. So like for me, that's something that I have to work on. But if you are super creative and that comes natural to you, fantastic. If some of the admin stuff doesn't, then you can do like courses or look up tips and tricks of like how to stay organized, little stuff like that.
Yeah. I mean, and a lot of it is just like learning it and spending the time to learn it, especially programs. Like I had no idea what like Slack and ClickUp were before working in this space too. So learning like how those work, and like even if any of my clients decided they really wanted to use Airtable, like I would take the time to learn how to do that, even though I really do not like Airtable. But like I used Google a lot as a teacher, and like those skills were 100% transferable to what I do now. And that's pretty easy for me. But like I would literally have to probably take a course on Airtable if I was going to have to use that a lot in my job, which I think might be something I'll have to do eventually with like the way authors really love Airtable. I mean, I'm just kind of dragging my feet on that, but that's definitely something I'll have to adjust to too in the future. Yeah.
And there's a lot more, like just one thing I didn't realize going into it. It's like a lot of strategic stuff. Like not every PA is going to be that involved in an author's business, and that's like totally fine. Like you can do, like we know people who have like 7 or 8 clients, but they do only like 1 or 2 tasks for them. So it's not like a full-time thing. Like they're all, you know, they do 5 or 6 things for that author. Like we just so happen to do a lot for like one particular person. So that's why we don't have like 7 or 8 clients, but that's one way to do it, is like if you're really good at one thing, you offer that, you can, you know, market yourself that way. Because like I said, there's a place for everyone. But for me, it's learning how strategic, like around a release, and like how certain authors will like really, like my clients will ask me questions about like how to do something. What can we do for this release? What can we do? Do you have any ideas? And that's like cool, because it's like things I thought of or I've seen, or I'm like, oh, this would be cool based on like their book or what's going on in that book. So yeah, it is really cool that they'll ask that, but not every single PA will have that like experience. But that's something I wasn't expecting to be like a part of when I first started being an author assistant.
Yes, but it definitely changes as you spend more time with the author and like spend more time like going through releases, because I feel like there's so much I have learned as we've gone through so many releases that I wouldn't have known when I just first started. So that is also something to think about. Like when you're first starting, you might not have as much to offer someone, but like they might not be giving you as many tasks, and then like integrate you even more into their business as you continue working for them. So yeah.
Like when I started working for Rebecca, it's been almost a year since I've started working for her, which was really cool. Like at first I was like, give me tasks, tell me what you need to do, and I will check those off. And now I can mostly like independently work, because I know what she expects. I know where she, like I know her plan, like all the stuff like that. So she can like really focus on writing, because it's really what she wants to do, and like edits and, you know, the author things. And then
actual writing of the book.
And then she can like kind of like pop in and do stuff where like I may need her, like, where do you want to go with this way or that way? Like, here's what I found, stuff like that. Here's what I was thinking. So that's really cool, because I could see that over the months since I started working for her. It's definitely evolved of like more so like as many releases, like stuff like that. That's cool.
Yeah. And that kind of builds into my next point, is try to really anticipate the needs of who you work for, and like do things without them having to ask you, which like you said though is something that you really need to like grow into and understand like what their needs could be. But like creating different things that you know like would benefit like a release, or like coming with ideas and like keeping track of your ideas and then sharing it with the person that you're working for, like trying to go like beyond just what they ask you is really important. It makes you like a really important part of their team. So
Yeah, so and that's definitely something like at first I didn't know what to do or how to independently work because I didn't know like how she worked. I didn't know everyone on her team, what they did. Like I had to get used to all that. So I was asking a ton of questions.
Because you don't want to step on anyone's toes too. That also, like don't try to take someone's job.
No.
Yeah.
So like it's more so like a learning curve of who's on the team, who does what when they write. So you don't ask them a bajillion questions during their writing time or stuff like that. Or like understanding how they work as a person and as an author, like, you know, you have that kind of professional relationship too. That like came over time. Like I know that I can independently work for a lot of things. And for Rebecca, I have a weekly meeting where we check in just like, how's your week going? How's the kids? How's the like stuff like that? But also like professional, like, okay, these are the tasks that I've done. This is what I was thinking of doing for the next week or two. Do you have anything to add? What do you want me to focus on? And she's like, okay, I had this idea. This is what I like. That's kind of what it's evolved to. But before those weekly meetings were her like giving me a list of things to complete like week to week. But I also got a sense of like where she wanted to, like how she wanted to grow her name, like her author name. So that's really cool.
Yeah. And something that I've been doing a lot for who I work for are like, I can't stress enough that just like being active in the community that you work in is so important and like seeing trends and then jumping on the trend. So like we saw the Matchbox trend going around. So both of us made one for our authors, and like any kind of trend we see, we're like, and like the one where it was like the book covers in their name trend, like we both did that too. So like jumping on those things so your author doesn't miss out on certain trends is super important too. That because they might not necessarily be like online a ton. That's going to be your job because like it's exhausting, and being online as an author is not always the best.
Like they go into their little community of people who like message them and comment and stuff like that, but like going outside of that, of like looking of what's being talked about, trends, you know, different things, like I let them know like, hey, this is what I saw, hey, this is what's trending, hey, can we do this, hey, I had this idea, stuff like that, or oh, this is a trend going on in dark romance, let's see how I can transition that to a sports romance type thing, like doing that kind of like strategic social media stuff.
Yeah. And like you said, you're taking the time they don't have out of their day. So like they don't have time to scroll through Instagram for an hour a day. That's something that we can do. I guess we can get into I have a couple of things. Make sure, since you're self-employed, you do have to worry about the annoying grown-up things like insurance. Research that if you need to. I had to do that. It was very annoying. And now I have to like worry about that. But also making sure you're aware of your taxes. You are making sure that you stay on top of invoicing your authors. Because I am not the best at that because I'm like, oh my God, it's already like the 8th and I haven't sent my invoice yet for the month. So like make sure you are on top of that. And being an adult, which is annoying, but taxes are the worst. Make sure you're keeping track of everything you're spending for your business and everything you're earning from your business so that you're not scrambling when tax season comes and put
That's
aside.
one thing I realized this year. So like for the 2023, when you file taxes for 2024, I got fucked. I hate taxes so much because I've never done it before. So like I was like going to my tax guy, I'm like, what do you need? He's like, I need all these numbers. And I'm like, I don't have that ready available. But now I know. So like I don't do it every single month, but every like 2 or 3 months, I will like pull everything from like my bank statements and put like expenses versus income and like calculate how much taxes like estimated would be so I can have that put aside, like all of those things. And I'll say I'm horrible with money. I'm literally like the worst with all of that. I take care of it, but like I absolutely hate it and I despise it. Now, I also have a husband who has like a corporate job. So like his health insurance is wrapped up into that. And because we're married, I just get added to that, which is nice. So I never had to worry about the health insurance part of it, which is very hard and annoying from what I heard you talk about and stuff like that. It's just
very
like
expensive, which is very annoying, but
yeah. Also, I will say I found this out. Okay. If you are married or if you try to apply for a loan, whether that's like getting a new car, whatever, and you're self-employed, I didn't tell you this.
No, you didn't, but I saw you post something about it on Threads and I forgot to ask you.
Your self-employed income does not count as like stable income for a minimum of 2 years. So like me and my husband, we're going to apply for a loan, like do stuff like that. Like he wants a new bike, we want a new car, anything like that, right? We called the people. We're like, okay, this is what my wife does. This is how much she makes. Granted, I made the same amount as I did as a paralegal, okay? This is what
and
she does.
you
This
have
is what I
proof.
do.
Like you have bank statements
have
to
proof.
show how much you make.
Yep. They said, oh, her income is, because it's 100% self-employed, it doesn't count, like it won't like register with the credit,
As, like,
stuff
stable
like
income.
that, as stable income for 2 years.
That's annoying. I didn't know that.
Yep.
So will that happen
Figured
if you
that
like
out.
buy a house?
Yep. Oh, just a heads up. Then 2 years minimum for any loan.
I mean, you're close.
I have 6 months, and that's
Yeah.
what they said. Our finance person was like, "Oh, you only have 6 months. It's not that bad."
I mean, I recommend also, like, since you talked about it, like getting professional opinions on things, because I have a tax person. You went to a tax person. Like, a lot of this is over my head. And so I literally just am like, here you go. And like they take care of it. And so I have had issues with my Etsy shop where stuff was happening. Like I shut it down, but I didn't actually like tell the government I wasn't selling things anymore. So they thought I had owed sales tax like for months, and they didn't tell me until like 6 months later. So then they were trying to charge me like 10 times what I normally paid for back taxes that I didn't actually owe. So like I just sent the emails and letters to my tax guy, and I was like, help. And he helped me, and we got it all figured out. But like I would not have been able to do that alone. So
yeah. And a lot of things that I did, like when it just, me and Brandon were like W-2 employees, where it's like so easy to file your taxes. Like I use TurboTax
literally,
because it's
just a
like
form.
I didn't have any like extra stuff. This year, when we filed taxes for 2023 and 2024, I went to a tax guy. It's my parents' tax person.
Mm-hmm.
But he literally was like, no, you can claim this as an expense, this and that, which is way more than I expected. So now when I'm doing my estimated taxes, like, I mean, obviously I didn't have to pay as much as I expected, but it was still a lot. But yeah, like I know that stuff now.
I'm always scared I'm going to break a rule I don't know. And I'm like, I'm not trying to like not pay my taxes. I will pay it. Just like help me. It's so frustrating how hard taxes are too. It's like they're waiting for you to mess up so that they can take your money.
Yes. But also when I filed taxes, we also got a check in the mail. I got $150. Brandon got $150 back because they're like, oh, you had, it's like Monopoly, like, tax refund. It was like, you had an error on your taxes, but it helped in your benefit. So here you go. It's $150. Like it was so random. They didn't tell us what we did. I was like, whatever. I don't know.
Just take it.
I just took it and deposited it and it was fine. But I was so hella confused though.
I definitely think like moving off of that, you need to treat whatever you do as a business. So like you are
100%.
your own brand. You are representing not only yourself, but also the people that you're working for. So definitely just, it is your future. Like it is your identity in whatever space that you are working in. There's been a lot of annoying things on Threads lately that I will not get into, but I think it's important to remember that whatever you are putting out into the space of where you work, people are going to look at you and say, why are you saying those things? Or why are you having an opinion about that so vocally? And that could go back on the people you work for too. So like, is someone going to want to work with you if you have said something that might not be what you should be talking about?
And I am someone who
vaguely as I can say that.
Yeah, I have been someone who I definitely want to join in a conversation or post my thoughts and my unfiltered thoughts. And like, as much as I would love to comment, because I do see things on Threads, it's very hypocritical and I don't like it. Like Threads is a whole other thing. Okay, like,
I need to stay off. Maybe it makes me so
once
mad.
a day just to see if like there's something going on. Like I need to just check in once again, being aware of just things going on. But there's so many things that piss me off, but there's a lot of hypocritical things that are said. I want to be a positive person in the community. Like I want to put out good vibes and be positive and uplift a lot of people. So yes, I do have things that should just be said in a group chat and let me complain and have my moment and be like, this isn't fair. And then I move on from it and that's okay. But there's a difference of posting online and then saying things in a group chat. And we've said that multiple times. And I think being an author's assistant or working anywhere in the book community, whether you have a bookish business, anything like that, like you should definitely be aware of what you're posting because people will judge. I will just say that. People
Whether
will judge.
you're right or wrong, you may be 100% right. There are things that I know I am right about. That I cannot post because I'm not going to start any kind of arguments.
And that could be opinions about things in the book community, like friendships or whatever, like drama going on. I would love to post things. Like I would love to talk about it and comment, but it's just one of those things that's like, do I want to go there?
Yeah.
No. Is it worth it? No. Also, I will say being a author assistant, PA, whatever, working in the bookish space, just because you are or you may know of or have had a relationship but you don't work for that author doesn't mean you're entitled to anything from that author.
Oh, true. Like, I don't even ask for things from the authors I work with. I still
don't
buy
either.
them. Like, I think we talked about it, like the special editions that Catherine sold. I don't think she even knows we bought them, but we for sure both purchased them and ordered them ourselves. So
Yep. No, it's just, there's certain things, once again, seeing and how you're perceived online. Be careful. Just, and it's taken me a long time. I can't tell you how many times you've texted me, be like, maybe you shouldn't have posted that.
I have
like over a year ago.
Been a lot. I mean, yeah, it's not a lot, but
no,
that's also why took so long to even like say who we worked for, because we know how much people watch and look and judge and make of things. So just be aware
and I
always
want to represent the people I work for in a positive light anyway. So because I'm open about who I work for, I have to make sure that I'm not like an asshole online, because I know that can go back. That can go back on the people I work for. So that's just me being responsible. I don't know. It's just how I choose to do it. And if you choose to do it a different way, totally on you. I don't care. Live your life. But that's how I choose to do mine. So I don't have any other tips. I can't think of anything.
The only thing I can think of is that we've talked about how there's a lot of self-doubt and it's really hard to know if like people like what you're doing. So be kind to yourself. That's one thing I have. Just be kind to yourself. And also, if your authors are communicative, like check in often, because I know I usually feel like really good after having like a check-in with an author, because then you can explicitly say like, how's it going? Like, is there something you need from me? Is what I'm doing okay? Am I being too needy on X, Y, and Z? Or am I like not doing what you want me to? Am I doing fine? And then they'll like actually tell you what they're loving, because like they don't, like, it's not always you're amazing, great job. Like, you just do your work and they're like, thank you. And you're like, but is that like a good thank you, or like it's very easy to question those things. So
but it's also one of those things, if you are not doing something that they don't like, but they want you to change or more focus on, like, instead of focusing on this, focus on this part of it, and they don't know how to bring that up. So having like a check-in and being like, hey, I just want to check in with you, this is what I'm doing, do you need me to focus on anything else? And that can just be an easy conversation for them to like lead into it, because they might have self-doubt of themselves. You know what I mean? Like, how do I bring this up with them? I love them, I love what they're doing, but I just want this one thing to shift focus to this. And having those check-ins, and I guarantee you, anyone that you work for, if you message them and be like, hey, can we have a check-in? When are you available? I have no doubt that any person will be like, no, I don't want to check in with you.
And like, just like really help your mental health while working.
Yes, it will.
It's hard being a creative too, because then you're like, do you like what I made? Do you like what the ideas? Like, I don't know.
That's why I always lead it where I'm like, here, I made these graphics, please let me know if anything needs to be changed. Also, I misspell shit a lot. I don't say this, but everyone knows that who I work for, I always misspell things. So like, check the spelling. That's my I know my weakness. Okay, I know. Well, I'm getting better, but I still know.
I feel like you're the same way, where we always have like 4 options. They're like, can you make this for me? I was like, sure. And then I do like 4 variations, because I'm like, I don't know what you'll like. So here's 4 options, and choose the one you like best.
Especially if they don't give us any like strict direction. They're just like, I want this, I want that. Give me a teaser image. Here you go. Go with it. And we're like, do you want something trendy? Do you want something pretty? Do you want something sexy? I don't know. Here you go. Here's these options. But and it's fun to make them. So but be kind to yourself. That's a good way to end it.
Because
it can be hard
mentally. Question a lot,
because you can like doom spiral. I guess you can be like, if I'm not good enough, then I'll lose my job, and then they fire me, and then I don't make money, and then I won't have money to pay my bills, and it just spirals. Maybe that's just me. Whatever.
I mean, authors have very different personalities too, so some of them aren't very like, they're just like, thank you, I need this, thank you, and you're like,
if you have access, take the what is it called, the Clifton Strengths. If you have that, take it. If it's available to you, and if your author has them, you can compare, and it makes a lot of sense of like where their strategic focus comes. But what is the emoji?
I don't know. What is a good one for a bee?
Like a be kind bee.
Sure.
Like a bubble bee. Yeah.
A bee.
I'll pick the emoji this time. If you're listening on Apple or Spotify, leave us a rating. Tell us what you thought of the podcast. Leave us a bee emoji in the comments down below. And if you have an idea for us for our next podcast episode, please drop it because we're running out of ideas.
Yeah. All right. Thank you so much for listening. We hope you enjoyed our Bookish Life, and we'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.